An angry Karen threatens me because I didn't give my lunch to her daughter. So I'm at the store, and as I get in, my first stop is getting some lunch for myself. They usually have this wing bar with some plexiglass covering because my state is still a little hot with a virus going around, but my town is mostly safe. I wasn't really paying attention to my surroundings as honestly the place was rather busy, and I was just focused on getting my stuff and getting out like I normally do. Here's where the entitled angry Karen and her kid enters the scene, right behind me. The Karen taps my shoulder rather aggressively as I finished putting the lid on my little bowl of meat. She looked like she was in her late 40s and her kid was just behind her, just on her phone. She looked about 10, I want to say, but I can't really be sure, but definitely I could still. The Karen says, "Hey, my daughter wants your wings. Hand them over." And at this point, she sticks her hands out with a scowl. I'm guessing she was just expecting me to say, "Oh, sure, why not?" I say, no. I'm about to move out of your way anyway, so there's plenty to go around. The Karen says, excuse me, I said give them to me now." She actually kind of screamed now like it was an order. And that's when I said, as I said, "I'm about to get out of your way so you can get it yourself. Now, if you'll excuse me." The enraged Karen looked absolutely furious at the fact I wasn't about to do as she demanded, and actually moved her cart in front of me to block my way. Then she said, "If you don't listen to me, I will get the manager here and I will get you banned. Don't you know who I am? Now give me your food. My child is hungry." The kid looked like they just wanted to melt into the floor in embarrassment. They said, "Mom, it's fine, let's just go." Luckily, someone heard the commotion and walked up to the angry Karen, and as he was about to ask if everything was all right, the Karen started going off on him saying I stole her food and she wanted him arrested. He just laughed and said, "I'll take care of this. Just finish your shopping." And so I did. I don't know what happened at the end, but honestly, the whole thing just made me laugh. Hopefully the kid won't end up like their mother. Some people just don't have any manners, and this Karen is definitely the shining example. To get physically aggressive because they demand the food that another person has for their spoiled child is just ridiculous. Hopefully one day this lady gets humbled enough where she won't act like this in public. Am I the jerk for telling my boyfriend that I miss how nice he used to be in the beginning of our relationship? My boyfriend and I have been in a relationship for almost 2 years. We both live in the same city, but we do not live together. He is naturally a little bit louder talker than me, but when we used to talk in the beginning before getting into relationship, he used to talk gently and sweet with me. Now it's not the same, which I totally get because we are both more comfortable with each other. But he teases and jokes about me a lot, which is not fun all the time, and dominates while joking, where he talks in a loud tone but still laughing and joking about it. So I've just started to be quiet and not react to his jokes at all. Cut to today, we were talking on the phone casually, and he was making a joke on me again at my expense, and I said that sometimes I miss how he used to talk to me in the beginning. He asked me what I meant by that, and I told him how he used to be gentle, calm, and sweet while talking to me before, and now it's not like that, which I miss sometimes. He got upset about it, saying sometimes no matter how much we do, people will always find faults, and took offense that he isn't sweet, for which I calmly explained that I'm not saying that he's not sweet, and I'm only talking about the tone and the way he talks to me. He was still very offended and upset, saying, "Alright, well it's okay. Everyone has their expectations." We both got a bit quiet for a few seconds. I said I absolutely do not mean anything about him being sweet, and asked to let me explain to him what I mean and why I said that. He said he's not interested and does not want to talk about it. I didn't want to make the conversation worse, so I said that I will talk to him later. I know he won't talk to me until I make a move to talk to him and say sorry. That is not something new, and I'm kind of tired of making the first move and saying sorry all the time, even though it's not my fault. I love him and still want to talk about it calmly, so I was thinking of explaining it to him in a text and let him decide to take the next step. Is there anything else I could do to actually make him listen to what I have to say? It sounds like the girlfriend definitely hit a nerve with the guy based on his reaction. It seems like it's one of those reactions where the guy knows he's at fault and he knows that this is a problem, but he's too prideful to actually admit it. So I think that's kind of what's going on here, and the girl is totally right. You shouldn't be joked about in that way and made fun of, because at the end of the day, if someone's putting you down like that, it's not actually jokes, it's just bullying. Like, it'd be different if this was like a two-way street and they would take jabs at each other, because maybe that's just how they get along, but it seems like this is very one-sided and it's kind of become bullying if anything else. But overall, I hope they figure things out and that the guy is able to push aside his pride and actually listen to what his girlfriend has to say. I went out with a girl who had a boyfriend, and now she wants to break up with him for me, and I don't know what to do. So first, let me give you some background. I was at a small party of my best friends about 2 weeks ago. He has a girlfriend who I got to know over the years. We're just semi-friends, if that makes sense. I invite her to my parties, she invites me to hers, but that's basically our entire text conversation. So I was at this party and started talking talking to a girl named Sarah. That's not actually her real name, by the way. She was alone at the party, and she was a close friend of my best friend's girlfriend. So nothing really happened at the party. We just talked and we clicked really well. I got her Snapchat and number before we left. I'm personally more of a personality guy instead of going for a looks guy, if that makes sense. And I was honestly very interested in her. So we started chatting and headed off even more. After a week or so, I asked her if she wanted to get a drink sometime. She agreed, so the next day in the afternoon we went out. Remember, at this point I haven't asked if she is in a relationship. Neither has she mentioned anything to me that she is in one. So the day arrives and I ask her if she needs a pickup, and she says, "No, I have someone taking me there." So I go out with her and make some smooth jokes. She grabs my hand and then things gonna go from there. So after drinking and having lunch for an hour, I had to go because I had an appointment for work. So we walked to the place where she would be picked up. This is where things begin to go south. And at this point, I honestly should have seen the sides. So we walk back as she's holding my hand, and she drags me into a side alleyway where we make out for about 5 minutes. So first, here's some information. The alleyway connects to the parking lot, but it's at an angle so you cannot look into the alleyway from the parking lot, if that makes sense. So I tell her, "I need to go. Do you want me to walk you to your lift?" Sarah says, No, hurry to your car and go to work. I had a great time with you." Later, she texts me if I want to do something later in the week. I invite her over to my place for dinner, and we spend some quality time together, if you know what I mean. After I asked her if she needs a ride home, she tells me that someone's waiting for her. I let her go and she tells me her lift is waiting around the corner. So me, someone who hasn't had a girlfriend in 5 years, tells my best friend about everything that just happened. I go over to my friend's place to tell him, and he grabs me by my arm and tells me that this lady actually has a boyfriend, and she's been with this boyfriend for 3 years. At this point, my heart rate starts rising and my friend can see I'm in shock. So I explain everything to him, and I mean everything. I show him texts from this girl because I honestly don't know what to do. So my friend calls his girlfriend, who tells us that Sarah recently has been talking about breaking up with her boyfriend of 3 years since a couple days ago. I am personally someone who would never ever cheat on someone or cheat with someone, so I feel awful and heartbroken. I felt so much anger and guilt towards Sarah. I went outside and I ended up calling her. She picks up the phone and tells me to wait so she can get more privacy. So that tells me that I know her boyfriend is there. I tell her everything and she starts crying and blaming it on me, saying that I never asked she was in a relationship, which is ridiculous. She tells me that she wants to break up with her boyfriend and be with me. My heart rate raises to the moon and I don't know what to do. I tell her, "Please, Sarah, don't do this." And I start yelling it over the phone. My friend comes out just as I hang up the phone. So that's where I am now. This literally happened today. I am heartbroken, sad, mad, everything, because I have done something that I would have never have done if she had just told me she had a boyfriend. Even after that, she tries to text me and talk to me about this. And personally, I just don't know what to do. After this entire altercation, my friend also told me that it was probably her boyfriend who dropped her on and off both of the dates with me. All of this is wild and I just simply don't know what to do. Boy, is this a heavy one. It sounds like the guy's an honest person and he really doesn't want to cheat or cheat with someone on their boyfriend. So I really feel for this guy of being really heartbroken. But in all honesty, this guy has no business being with this girl. If she could do this to her current boyfriend where she wants to break it off with to go with another guy, then she could absolutely do it to him. This is not someone you want to be in a relationship with. At least she found out early and can get out now instead of waiting for 3 years like this lady's current boyfriend, who has no idea that she's going behind his back. My boyfriend hid secret cameras all around our house. I have been dating my boyfriend for 2 years. We met while I was working at a hospital, and he was a resident at the time finishing up. I do want to preface this by saying he didn't know my age when we first met. I'm 21 and my boyfriend is 27. I'm ahead in school, so when he met me, he assumed my age because I was a senior at the time. Anyway, we moved in together a year after dating and have been that way since. Last night, he was working a night shift, so I was deep cleaning the place and packing some things since we're moving for his work soon. So it's not like I was snooping. While cleaning, I found a couple of weird things. I always knew there was security cameras in the house, in places like the living room and kitchen for safety, but I found some in places in the bedroom. 2 were even pointed directly at the bed. I tore apart the house after and found a few more in places like the closet and bathroom. I feel so sick because I can't think of any reason to have these besides to spy on me when I'm home alone. I waited for him to get home and immediately brought it to his attention, and he said it was for security, that there was no way one was facing the bed because he would never put them there. He says he has them in the bedroom in case of a break-in for insurance purposes, but I swear, when I found it, that's exactly where it was facing, towards the bed. I don't know what to do. I feel so uncomfortable, but I guess his excuse makes sense. Has anyone ever had a similar situation? And what did you do? Yet, this lady needs to get out of this relationship right now. No one keeps cameras pointed at their bed for insurance purposes. That is not how that works. This man is spying on her, 100%. Especially since there's cameras in the bathroom. You don't keep cameras in the bathroom. This is not normal behavior. This is a violation of privacy, and this lady needs to get out and get out fast. He's clearly lying, and she does not need to be with someone like that. My family has tried to control what I do with my new house, and it's driving me crazy. I get that that everyone wants to help out, but sometimes I feel like I speak a different language and live in a different world than everyone else. I'm 90% sure my roof needs major renovation if I want it to be fully insulated and up to modern ecological standards. It's the sort of roof that has been repaired and improved over time, but now it's time for a complete redo. I just came out of an hour-long back-and-forth discussion with my parents about what I should do and how to do it and how all of this works, while I did my research already for credible roofing companies nearby. Even when I show them 5 examples to show that nobody does free inspections anymore, they still didn't believe me. They tried their hardest to prove their point and find one that did free inspections, but it turns out they only did minor repairs and their online presence was shady and almost non-existing. It also seems like they have decided which company I should eventually work with to get solar panels. Then came the discussion with my aunt about furniture. I'm still 3 weeks away from getting the keys. Then we need to renovate almost half of the place, which will take 2 to 3 months. I barely know the dimensions of the living room, but she said, just call the realtor. Ask them if they can stop by on Fridays. We did this as well. Yeah, they did this as well, 15 years ago when the market wasn't so chaotic. I'm sure the realtor has plenty of time to spend half the day on a client that's already a done deal. I mean, he's a nice guy, but he's not going to spend more time on me than necessary. He has other things he needs to do. And don't get me started about the garden. I don't care what plants are in my garden and what I should add or remove. I'm going to live on my own in a 2 to 3 person house. I don't have time for a complicated garden. I'm going to hire a gardener to figure it out for me so that everything is low maintenance for the next 2 to 3 years. I lost count of how many times I said how I want my garden to look and function. Lastly, the rented boiler. I've had it up to here with people who have said that I should disassemble it and call the company to pick it up. It says in the contract that I can't do that or risk a fine on top of the regular disassembly costs. And no, I don't need you to help me disassemble it. It's going to be my rented boiler, and I will be the one that will have to pay the fine when you're the one that said, screw it, we'll do it ourselves. Every discussion with my family drives me to the point where yelling seems to be the only way to get them to stop for at least 6 hours. Then it starts all over again. I am so done with everything and everyone. And honestly, once I move into my house, I don't want to see anyone for anything for at least half a year. I'm not spending this much money on a house for everyone to walk all over me and tell me how to live my new life, telling me what to do and what sort of tiles to get, where and when, etc. It's driving me crazy. Yeah, it sounds like this lady has a family who is absolutely not minding their own business. I mean, this lady has her parents, her sisters and brothers, her aunt telling her how to run her house. I mean, that's just craziness. And it doesn't sound like she's not being firm with these people. I mean, she says it herself. It almost goes to yelling sometimes just to get them to stop, but they still consistently keep coming back. I mean, what is wrong with these people? Just give her some space. At the end of the day, I think everything will probably change once she finally moves into this new house, because then it will be hers and it won't be up for speculation or for other people to chime in and tell her how to run it. And that might be the best silver lining she can look forward to. My girlfriend of 8 years broke up with me, and then the next day she's begging to have me back. So my girlfriend and I have been together for 8 years. We met in college at 19, moved to California together, 3,000 miles away from family around 5 years ago. We have a condo and a dog together. We have ups and downs, some bad fights, but overall we are best friends and have a lot of love. Over the past few months, I've been struggling with my job. Paying for the expensive Southern California lifestyle has made things tight when it comes to our budget, which in turn made me really have to step up with the finances. My girlfriend has had pretty bad anxiety and panic attacks, so she went on Zoloft about 2 months ago. And it's helped with that, but I can't help but feel like she has significantly changed in ways that's not so good. Even her best friend says she feels like a different person, and that she feels emotionless, like a stranger almost. Anyways, she's been discussing a break for a few months now, but we always work past it, and then we're doing so well talking about marriage and kids. Then a week goes by, everything settles, and it's back to a break. It's a cycle that keeps on repeating. Friday, she finally said that she is visiting her sister for the weekend, and when she gets back, we're going to take a break, and that she will be getting an Airbnb for the next month of April. She came back yesterday, sat down, and we had a heavy heart-to-heart, and she said she just wants to fully end things. She went on to say how she fell out of love, so she packed up her stuff, we hugged, and I went to a buddy's to decompress. An hour or so later, she calls me sobbing and having a full panic attack, saying she doesn't want to be there and she misses me and the dog. After a talk, she said she is going to stay in the Airbnb and that she is sorry for calling and making it harder on me. I feel like I'm watching the girl I love go through a full mental breakdown, and I'm not sure what to do. Yeah, this is a really sad situation. Panic attacks and anxiety and depression are really hard things to deal with, and it sounds like this guy's girlfriend is definitely going through it. I think there's a lot of things they could both work on, but it really sounds like his girlfriend needs to go to therapy. Just getting on some kind of medication to help with your depression or anxiety sometimes isn't enough. Overall, I hope she gets the help that she needs and that they're able to work this out. My parents keep asking me for money. I would first like to say I love my parents dearly. I always have. They've done so much for me, and I like to return the favor, but I'm starting to get frustrated. We've always struggled a bit with money, money, and I've been happy to help them in the past. But them saying, "I promise this is the last time we will ask for money," is a sentence I keep hearing. When I was a teenager, I was given a nice chunk of settlement money after a bad car accident I was in. Since I was a minor when this happened, my parents knew all about the money I received. Once I turned 18 and had access to the money, they asked me to give them around $20,000 to help with bills and debt. My parents just raised me for 18 years. I mean, how could I deny it? I gave them the money without any hesitation. Then about a year later, they asked for $8,000 more because they were behind on bills again. I wasn't as enthused to help out, but they're my parents and I love them. The least I can do is help. Shortly after that, they said my brother's business was struggling and they needed about $10,000 to help him on his feet. I was never that close to my brother, but I felt obligated to help out. I just received another email from my mother asking for another $15,000 because my brother is starting to add his own debt to theirs. I feel guilty because I really do not want to send them any more. I'm forever grateful that they were able to get the money for me in the first place, but I really wish they didn't know about it. And realistically, I know I will not be seeing that money again. I expected it the first time they asked, and I had no issue with helping. I was happy to, but I hate the feeling like I'm stuck with either dropping thousands of dollars on something I'll never get again, or by feeling like an absolute jerk by telling my parents no. I feel like a horrible child for even hesitating, but this money is for my future. It's helped me with college and covering a lot of medical bills. I'm struggling to think of a response. Any advice would really be appreciated. It sounds like the parents have no concept of managing money properly. I mean, how do you get thousands of dollars behind on your bills? That's just irresponsible to a whole nother level. They probably looked at their teenage child as some kind of money cow that they could withdraw money from at any point, and that's absolutely not fair for their kid. That money is given to them for compensation because of a bad car accident, and the original poster said it best themselves. They need this money to cover medical bills and college, and if I were them, that's exactly what I would tell my parents. You just apologize and say, "I'm sorry, I need to use this money for me," and then that's the end of it. If it goes farther than that and they start to guilt trip you and really hammer it home that they need this money now, then at least you know exactly what you're going to be getting for the rest of your life, and then you can decide if you want any part of that. Personally, I wouldn't want to deal with that for a second, and would much rather have my parents respect me as a human being, with my own finances to manage how I please. My boyfriend has broken up with me, but he hasn't told me yet. I just found out that my boyfriend has informed his family that we've broken up, but not me. We've been seeing each other since 2018, and we became official in 2019. I found out because someone we both know told me after asking me how I was doing. I was so confused and glad I followed up. He came back from work. He seemed all right, told me a work story when he got home. I said he'd been acting funny, and he said he was all right when I prompted for more. I asked if he hated me, and he said no. I asked other questions where he behaved oddly, and he just chuckled and replied no each time. He's just left to go bowling with some work buddies. I can think of a dozen reasons, and a separate dozen petty reasons he has yet to break up with me. I honestly can't drop it. I don't want to get the person into trouble. So how can I bring this up upon his return? I mean, this sounds like something you need to bring up sooner than later. Your boyfriend has already told his family that you're not going to be with him any longer. And the fact that he hasn't told you yet is a big red flag. Like, you already know he doesn't want to be with you. So in my opinion, it's probably time to cut things loose. It's probably best to especially start thinking about your exit strategy. It's going to be very weird when this conversation comes up, so you got to know how you're going to get out and get your stuff and get going. Make sure to subscribe with notifications on. Check out the playlist at the top of the description for the next story. And if you're a streamer, use the copyright-free music link down below on your streams. See you next time.